Hello and welcome to week 4. Obviously it got off to a bit of an eventful start last night when Blackboard went down. I believe every student had an assignment due around 11:50 p.m. last evening across campus, or so it seemed. Blackboard issues aside, if you emailed your assignments to me, that should be just fine. We will take care of getting those graded. If you prefer to just submit them on Blackboard, go ahead and do that. Please make sure to do that by this morning when we start evaluating your assignments. To be clear, in the future, if Blackboard is down, I do prefer that you email your assignments to me. If you're not able to get in to view what the assignment is because Blackboard is down, typically my response is that you should have written down or considered what the assignment was before that particular time on Sunday. Now, if it's down for an extended period of time, that's different. But please make sure in the future to take note of what the assignments are so that if there's an issue with your internet or with Blackboard, you make sure that you can address those even if Blackboard is down, and you can email me the assignment. Turning to week 4, we are shifting into Module 3. Module 3 focuses on quantitative and qualitative methods. In particular, as you'll see in this introductory video, it discusses the use of qualitative and quantitative research in education. I've asked a couple of questions that I want you to consider in the video, but I also want you to think about this in terms of those of you who have had research doing quantitative analysis and focusing on quantitative research. I want you to think about the similarities and differences between qualitative work and quantitative work. It's very often the case that the push is for qualitative work to take on the notions that quantitative evaluation and research has in it, such as validity and reliability. So the important and hard thing there is to consider what are validity and reliability when it comes to working with qualitative data. And we'll consider that over the course of the next 2 weeks. I do want to note that your assignments for this module are mostly clustered near the end of week 5. However, just because they are clustered in the end of week 5 does not mean that you should be waiting to work on them. The work that is due next weekend, not this coming weekend but the weekend after, involves a long and pretty extensive annotated bibliography, as well as responding to discussion posts and doing final assignment project prep. So I want to make sure that you're spending time along the way working on these assignments so that you're not surprised or end up needing to do a late submission because of the deadline and the amount of work due at the end of week 5. In the meantime, I also want to note that many of you are starting to realize that you are having trouble finding literature. I think one of the primary issues that I'm seeing is that you have a research question and you are searching specifically for that research question in the literature. You are typing that question in and seeing what comes up. You have to be more broad about this. So if you're going to ask a question, as one student is, focusing on the learning of students with ADHD. If you focus on something very specific, like how does this type of instruction impact students with ADHD, well, you're probably not going to find much for that. Instead, you need to do something like asking, okay, what are issues, documented issues in learning for students with ADHD? How does this affect their classroom behavior? How does it affect how they read textbooks? How does it affect how they listen to teachers? All of these type of things have bearing on how the students learn and what they learn. It is your job to then try and make an argument how those documented issues lead to perhaps a best practice for teaching students with ADHD. So what I'm trying to illustrate with this example is that you'll very often not find the exact answer to your research question. And in fact, if it's a good research question, you probably won't find the exact answer out there. So you need to be able to rethink about your question and think about the issues and topics that you've put forth in your question and gather literature around those ideas so that you can then use the literature you find to make a hypothesis about that question. Your literature review and the literature articles that you find should help you make a hypothesis about how your question might be answered. It should not definitively tell you one way or the other. There's a very distinct version of research here. I want to push you to think about something that has not fully been answered yet, but which you can use existing literature to try and make a reasonable hypothesis about. If you have any questions about this as we go forward, please feel free to email Allison or I, and we look forward to working with you in Module 3.